Welcome back, everybody. Season 5, episode 5, I believe is what we're on. Season 7, episode 5. This is a big one, guys. This is a big episode. We have an absolute legend in the studio today. Couple different reasons, which we'll get to, but welcome Kirk Douglas to the studio. Say hello, Kirk.
It's great to be here.
I'm so excited.
I'm so pumped about this. I've been waiting to get on. I was apprehensive.
Yeah? How do you feel now?
I'm fired up.
Yeah, a little nervous?
I mean, Quincy, it's a tough drive up here from the friendly confines of Marsh, Vegas, but I'm happy to be here. You want
to talk about a South Shore, stuck on the South Shore. He doesn't like to, Quincy's too far for him, he told me today.
Traffic up here, it's brutal.
So, lot going on. Whew, lot going on. How you doing, Rupia?
I'm great.
Yeah?
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
I'm doing great. Although I hurt my knee, so that's a situation.
Big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Devastating boating accidents.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of like trying to fix something, which, that's not what I do.
Look how swollen it is.
Look at me. Oh, yeah.
It is swollen.
My right knee is...
Elephant knee.
I think they're going to have to cut it off.
Yeah.
Definitely a meniscus tear, but a lot going on. Hank finished up at their academy.
Nice.
And so you've gone through this in your life. There's like nostalgic moments in your life, and I had a handful this week. So Hank finished up at Thayer, and I sold the Jeep.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's a big one.
Yeah,
Wow.
I sold the Jeep. So the story of the Jeep is I bought it in 2005. It was the same. I had the same year, make, model, color, everything in high school. And when I got married, I went online and I bought. I wanted to find the exact same Jeep, and I bought it on eBay in 2005. So now here we are, 20 years later. I got in the Jeep and we did a bunch of work to it last year.
We did.
We got some new interior in there. We fixed the dashboard. We did some things that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna, because I was falling out of love with the Jeep.
Yeah.
Just to be honest with everybody, all my listeners, international, I was falling out of love. I had loved the Jeep for a long, long time, and I was falling out of love with the Jeep. It was uncomfortable to ride in, so I said, I'm gonna make some upgrades. Okay?
Sure.
I'm gonna make some upgrades, and that's gonna make me love the Jeep. I make the upgrades. I get in the Jeep this spring. I drive it down to the rink, and I hate the thing.
It's not a very far ride.
No.
It's like literally like 2 miles.
Not even.
No.
The seatbelt was broken. The thing wouldn't idle. And I said, you know what? I'm selling it. So I put it on. I went down to there's a little local Jeep. They sell like aftermarket stereos and lift kits and all that stuff. So I went down there and I said, what would you sell it for? So we talked it out, and I came up with a number in my head. It was like $8,900. I put it on Market Facebook. What's it called?
Yeah, I think you got it.
Yeah, Facebook Market.
Close,
Yeah.
close enough.
Yeah, and I got I got 2 calls on it. One guy wanted to trade me a Harley. Okay, so I was gonna go from a Jeep to a Harley. The thing was sick. The Harley was sick. Marlene was like, "Yeah, no."
Not happening.
Do you ever have a motorcycle?
Dirt bikes.
But like like a car, like a
No.
ride on the street bike.
No.
Dangerous.
Harley.
Too dangerous.
Yeah, Keithy.
No.
No, that's my, and it wouldn't be. I'm getting a little off track here, but I wouldn't be you that I'm worried about. Like you on the bike, you would be fine handling the bike. You would be fine handling the bike. I probably wouldn't, but that's a different story. That's not my concern. My concern would be the idiot in the car,
That's right.
because one little mistake on a motorcycle, it's over.
Yep.
Like it's over,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, Rupia, does Johnny Cops have to go to respond to like motor vehicle accidents? No, right? He's just murders and stuff, right?
Yeah, but he used to.
He used to do he must have saw some motorcycle crashes that were terrible.
Yeah.
Like you hit a rock, like a little pebble or
Anything.
Someone's not paying attention. You're out.
Yeah.
out. O-U-T.
Rip.
So anyway, I didn't trade for the Harley. Okay.
Not yet.
The Jeep's gone. So I got one call. It was actually a guy that works at Thayer Academy. He came down with his wife, his 2 boys, 5th grade and 7th grade.
Perfect ages.
And he has a house in Maine.
He hired them, actually.
Yeah. They definitely weren't his
Working.
kids.
No.
He was
They
working
all
the
These are
price
at
down.
least
No, they all-
2,000 for these 2 kids.
they all looked alike.
Yeah.
They all looked alike. And he tugged at my heartstrings. I told him everything that was wrong with the Jeep. I said, look, here's the issues. The steering column, seatbelt. There was 2 or 3 other things. It doesn't idle, whatever. But he loved the Jeep. His kids loved the Jeep. So he bought the Jeep. And the Jeep is now going to Maine. I think it's on its way up there right now. And it's going to live a second life.
I mean, I think that's fantastic.
Don't you think that's great?
The Jeep's probably pumped.
So it's funny you say that, okay? Because I had a moment. So the guy comes down to pick up the Jeep, and he doesn't listen, so I can say whatever I want. But one of the biggest issues with the Jeep was the horn didn't work. Mm-hmm. So because the horn didn't work, I couldn't get it. A sticker. So the last sticker on the Jeep is 2020. Okay, it's 2025. And we're going to talk about that, too, because I have it. But anyway, so... we do a thing, right? He gives me the check. I tell him whatever. And he's backing out. He's pulling out of my driveway. You've all been, I don't know if you've been in my house, but it's kind of a long driveway. And I got the video camera out and I wave and he waves back. And wouldn't you know it, he beeps the horn and the goddamn thing beeps.
It worked.
Get me out of here.
And I was like, I think the Jeep knew.
Yeah. That Jeep was excited to leave the garage.
Right.
It was like, I'm going to Maine.
Gonna take care of me.
Yeah.
I'm going to drive on some dirt roads.
Yep.
That's what I was meant to do.
Yeah. I'm out of here with this spoiled brat owner who's uncomfortable driving a mile down the road.
Right.
So, but nostalgic nonetheless. That coupled with the, Hank finishing up at there. He's going back to Duxbury next year. We've talked about that. A lot of nostalgia, like it was the last time I'm going to drive Hank up to Thayer Academy. On the car with him yesterday, I'm like, this is the last time. Oh, yeah, okay.
I was going to say, how were those conversations?
Okay.
Lengthy?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I wanted to kill him. I'm like, give me something.
Yeah. Please. More than a one-word answer would literally make my day. So
I have a problem with my vehicles in that I let inspection stickers lapse. And I let registrations lapse. It's
what you do.
That's what I do. But it used to be beating the system, and I don't know if you guys have picked up on this now. So I went down and got my truck inspected in May. It had expired in March. Usually, back in the day, you'd come back and they'd give you a 5. You'd get the full 12. Mm-hmm. Now they're bumping you back to the month that
expired.
Yeah. I had a situation myself where the truck that I had the tint was too dark.
Okay.
Well, you can't do that in Mass.
No.
So I experienced the same thing. I had to go get the tint reduced, and then I'm thinking, oh man, I'm gonna
get
an extra month out of this thing.
No such luck.
No, they caught up to us.
Yeah, and so I was talking to Chris Fumara about it, and he's like, yeah, that makes sense. Think about how much money the state's losing. Because some people are getting, I haven't inspected the Jeep in 5 years, but like that truck, I'd get 2 extra months. Do that times infinity. Mm-hmm. That's real money.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's real money. So they do it with registrations now too, by the way, because the Jeep also wasn't registered. So this guy says, I'm going to drive the Jeep up to Maine. I'm like, well, I got to register it for this guy because he's going to register it in Maine. So he's actually driving to Maine on my registration right now, which is fine.
He drove the Jeep to Maine?
Well, I think he's driving it there today.
The Jeep, he's not towing it?
I don't think so.
Oh, God.
I think he's
never going to make it.
He's like, it's part of the experience. I'm like, what experience is that? Breaking down in Concord, New Hampshire?
Bring a survival. Bring a
Jeep's
survival bag.
Running like a top right now.
Yeah, the Jeep's so excited it's doing 90.
Yeah, it's like fired, ready to go.
Anyway, those are my nostalgic moments that I had. But sticking with our new segment, let's talk about music a little bit. I got my 3 bands that we're going to say yes or no to. Okay. Men at Work. Kirk?
That's a yes for me.
Okay.
No.
Do you even know what they sing?
No.
Do you come from a land down under?
Still no.
I only said yes because they're from Australia.
Okay. But you don't really like their music?
No.
That's a great song.
It is.
But other than that...
Vegemite sandwich.
What is a Vegemite sandwich?
Well, my boss is Australian.
Okay. So did you feel obligated in case he listens to...
Yes.
Okay.
Clearly.
Does he know? Did he tell you what a Vegemite sandwich is?
He explained to me what Vegemite is.
What is it?
I don't know.
Isn't it like an Australian Nutella or something?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like a Nutella. Yeah.
Okay. All right. The Police.
Yes.
I'm a yes there.
Yes.
No.
Why?
Jeez.
I don't know.
Synchronicity is one of the best albums ever out there.
It just doesn't
do anything for you.
No.
Yeah, Copeland is one of the most underrated drummers of all time for the Police. He's Stu Copeland.
Sting was the lead singer.
Yeah.
Like, they were legit. Yeah. And finally, Rage Against the Machine.
Yes.
Hard yes.
Yeah, that's
hard,
a big yes, right?
Hard yes.
Everybody loves that. Those crazy people.
Yeah.
Do you ever go see him?
No.
You ever see him?
I wish.
Not Rage, no.
No, me neither. So sticking with that sort of nostalgia, because I had another nostalgia. Not that I'm going back now on my segments, but when's the last time you went through your phone and did like a phone cleanse of your photos? You know what I mean?
I do.
Never.
I don't do my photos. I do my text messages though.
You do?
Yeah. If I haven't got a text message for you for like 6 months, you're out.
You can set your phone so that it deletes them
Oh, I should do
up
that.
to 6 months.
Oh,
The
really?
other reason
Really?
the text messages will take up a lot of memory, a lot of space on your phone. So,
I didn't know that. I never delete my text messages, but I went through and deleted. I was deleting photos. I was looking for photos for a specific reason, which I can't divulge until next week, at the risk of blowing something. But anyway, which I probably just blew. But man, you want to talk about nostalgia?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, I
love
was
it.
a mess.
That's the picture you sent me randomly.
I sent you a picture of
Randomly, yeah,
Finn was a year and a half old. Like all these old photos and videos of like my kids dancing around the living room and like, tear jerking.
Yeah, I can't delete any photos.
So I was deleting photos that were like, if I took like a screenshot of a text message that I wanted to send a buddy, or if I took a bunch of photos of like a property that we did 5 years ago, I deleted all that shit. I got rid of all that shit. But it was just, it was nostalgic. I would recommend it.
Yeah, I do that from time to time.
Yeah.
Especially old family vacations.
Yeah.
You know, I'll look at, trip from Mexico back in, when Ethan was, my son's name is Ethan, when Ethan was little.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's
Brings
good.
back some good memories.
Brings back some good memories.
Sometimes I look up old photos of you, having dental work done.
I see that pop up.
Yeah, that
once in a
pops up
while.
every once in a while. The famous photo.
Yeah.
Gave me a lot of street cred.
It really did.
So little, I'll pump my my favorite podcast, History Daily. Do you listen to History Daily?
I don't. I'm not a huge podcast guy. When I do listen to podcasts, it's typically the true crime stuff.
That's what
Big
Keithy
fan.
loves that stuff.
Yeah, big fan.
Love it.
So I'm with you. I'm not a podcast guy other than my own podcast, which I listen to on repeat. But that's a totally. But this history, it's called History Daily. It's like 15 minutes long. I listened to it on the ride in from Duxbury to Quincy. And it's like what happened today in history. So today in history, they laid the first concrete block for the Hoover Dam.
Wow.
June 6th, 1933. And I don't know, have we ever talked about the Hoover Dam on this podcast? So there's a ton of great facts about the Hoover Dam. But the craziest fact is when the first guy to ever die associated with the Hoover Dam was a guy named Matt Gregory Tierney. And he was a surveyor that they sent out on the river to like find out where they're going to put the Hoover Dam. Like, where on this river do we put this Hoover Dam? So he went out 10 years before they even started building the thing. He went out and was on a boat, got caught in a wave, whatever, dead, in the water, dead.
Before they even started building.
Before they even had a plan, he was like the first guy out there to be like, we want to put the dam here.
Mm-hmm.
So now fast forward, they build the dam. I forget who the president was at that time, but anyway, he comes out, he makes a speech saying the dam is open. The last guy to die, so there's a bunch of people died building the Hoover Dam. Like they say 100 or 95 recorded deaths, but the conspiracy theorists say a lot more were attributed to pneumonia when that was actually carbon monoxide poisoning from all the machines and the being in the, whatever.
Yep.
102 degree heat. Anyway, the last guy to die was named Patrick Tierney. Patrick Tierney fell 321 feet to his death into the water, body never to be found again. Patrick Tierney was Matt Tierney's only son. So the first guy to die was the father. The last guy to die was the son.
That's
Wow.
sad.
Yeah, that's
And
so
the kid, so at the time they were building the Hoover Dam, it was during the Depression, so the jobs, everybody wanted those jobs because it came with housing. In Boulder City, they built up a whole city around, these guys. Is Boulder City still around?
I don't know.
I don't know
It
either.
doesn't sound like OSHA was around during
Oh,
this time.
there was no OSHA.
There was no OSHA.
So this kid, Patrick Tierney, who ends up being the last one to die, he actually came to the Hoover Dam looking for work and used the fact that his father was the first guy that died as like leverage to get the job because they were like lining up to get these low-paying, high-risk, super dangerous jobs because of the Depression. But just an interesting little fun fact.
How long did it take for them to complete the dam?
So the guys, I forget the guy's name. I just listened to it on the way in. But the supervisor, it was 7 years, to answer your question. 7 years and $49 million. It came in on budget and on time.
I was going to say 7 years is not that bad for the 1930s.
And they had they had to build it in 50 cubic foot blocks. So they would essentially, that's why when you look at the Hoover Dam, it looks like bricks.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they poured the concrete. They poured it because I guess concrete heats up when you pour it. I didn't know that.
As it cures, it heats up.
Yeah, as it cures, it heats up. So what they did was they did it in these squares. They figured out a way to do it in squares so that this one would, otherwise it would take too long. It would never cure it because of all the concrete. So, and then they ran pipes with cooling water through the cement, and then after the cement cured, they pulled the pipes out and filled it with, I think, sand or something to reinforce it.
Wow.
It was really a really amazing engineering feat. But a lot of people died building the Hoover Dam.
Coach Carter, since Nudgy just brought us way down,
Yeah.
do you have any uplifting stories?
No, hold on. I have one more thing.
Well, this day is infamous for this June 6th,
Yeah.
Why?
D-Day.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's right.
That's
Yeah,
like, I thought you were going there. I
How does that? How?
How did you miss that?
How did that podcast not put a little DJ something?
That's amazing. How do they not? They go to the Hoover Dam on D-Day? I just lost all faith in that podcast.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh man.
but not in Coach Carter.
No.
No,
Why?
Coach Carter had it.
Coach Carter nailed it.
Yeah, nailed it.
I just figured you were going there,
No, I didn't go there. I went to the Hoover Dam.
which is great. It's a
Yeah.
great story.
So,
Very good story.
we're going to talk one more history, and then we're going to get into Kirk because
Yeah.
we got to tell some jokes, and then we're going to get into Kirk. But I don't talk politics on this show.
No, I
Okay?
do.
We don't talk politics.
Not a
We
fan.
don't talk anything that's really, this is a fun. But I will say this. I listened to my show yesterday, History Daily, whatever it's called. And yesterday was the day Robert F. Kennedy was shot. He was assassinated on June 5th, 1968. What struck me was, obviously Kennedy, before that, JFK was shot in like 63, right? But 2 months before RFK was shot, Martin Luther King was shot in April of 68. Or maybe March of 68, whatever it was. Point being, we think about politics now, and we think about how crazy it is, right? Like, it's been crazy forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't abnormal for Democrats to be fighting Republicans and protests and all this stuff to be going on. It's been going on forever.
Right.
And at least no one's getting shot these days. Like an assassination, I mean, I know Trump got allegedly, whatever. I don't even know what side of the fence you're on. But like, think about how RFK, more than JFK, right? Because that was from a clock tower or whatever you believe. But the guy got this close to RFK.
Right.
This close with a gun. Shot him from right here.
Yep.
Like, how does that would never happen now.
No.
You'd have to have some elaborate plan, shooting from a rooftop or whatever. But what I thought was interesting is RFK gets shot, which kills the Democratic Party that year. Richard Nixon wins the election, and then we get Watergate. And you're like, you think politics are crazy now?
Right.
Yeah.
Think about that stretch. Martin Luther King gets killed. Robert Kennedy gets killed. Nixon gets elected. Watergate, he has to resign.
Yep.
Like, that's the craziest of the crazy.
Yeah.
We're okay right now. Elon Musk and Trump fighting on Twitter.
We just have a cat fight.
Yeah, among the richest guy in the world, the president of the United States.
Right.
All right, you got some jokes, Keithy?
I do. I do. What do you call a Chinese billionaire?
I don't know that.
I'm not doing it.
A millionaire.
Cha-ching.
Your delivery is magical.
The best.
Oh.
I don't know if Dave Portnoy is going to like all these jokes.
I know it.
Why? What's
Apparently, you're not allowed to tell jokes anymore.
Yeah.
he said that?
The big whole Jewish thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
whatever.
No more jokes.
No more jokes. But this is a good one, actually.
Next.
What do you call a kid with no arms and an eye patch? Names.
Oh, man.
Call him names.
Poor kid.
Did you guys hear that they made a new Afghan Barbie doll?
Afghan.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yep. It's a blow-up doll.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Oh, jeez.
All right. That's
That's
it.
it?
I'm not even telling my jokes. You can't compete with that.
That's too good.
All right. Okay.
Let's
Let's
get
get
to
into Kirk. Let's get into Kirk Douglas. Kirk, let me tell you.
Not Kurt. Kirk.
Not Kurt.
Yeah.
Kirk. So this, and I've said this before. How long have we known each other, Kirk? 15 years?
Yeah.
15 years.
15 plus.
All from hockey.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm gonna really get to learn a lot about you today, and I'm excited about that because that's cool. That's the fun part of this, and hopefully you enjoyed talking about yourself. But anyway, where were you born?
Weymouth, Mass.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second. Were you living in Weymouth when you were born, or were you born in South Shore Hospital? So you say you're born in Weymouth.
South Shore Hospital.
Okay, just like me. See, that's why we get along.
Yeah.
When someone asks you where you were born, you say the town in which the hospital you were born
That's the hospital where I was born. My grandmother actually worked in the cafeteria there.
Oh,
when
really?
When I was born. Yep.
in. Easy for her. She comes up, sees it, goes right back to work.
Goes right back to work.
But where were you living at the time? Where was your family live? Where did you go back to after your 3 days?
At the time, my parents lived in an apartment in Hanover, Mass.
Okay, all right. You don't grow up in Hanover though.
No.
Where do you move?
Moved to Abington, Mass.
Okay, and who's we?
My parents.
Are you the oldest?
I was the oldest.
Okay.
Yeah,
Any
I have-
brothers and
I
sisters?
have a younger brother who's about 2 years younger than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just the two of you.
Just the two of us.
Was he a hockey player?
He was.
Any good?
He was dynamite.
Really?
Yeah.
Does he still play?
No.
Okay. All right. I feel like there's something more behind that, but
There's a lot. That's a long story.
that was a quick no.
Yeah.
So growing up in Abington, grow up in Abington?
Grew up there. Yeah, I lived there. All through high school,
Okay.
college. Yep.
So what sports do you play coming up? Because I mean, obviously we've already touched on the hockey, but you.
Yeah. I tried every sport.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. I remember when I was in elementary school, the hockey program came around, passed out flyers, and I remember going back home, and this was pre-dishwasher, so my mom's washing dishes.
Yeah.
And I gave her the little yellow piece of paper, and I said, "Can I play hockey?"
So how old are you when you're doing this?
5.
Okay, young.
But my dad had me out on the ponds before that skating.
Okay, so your dad was a hockey guy?
He never played. My
So-
father was a diabetic. He
Okay.
didn't play a lot of sports, but he loved the Boston Bruins.
Loved him.
Loved him.
Okay, so what year are you born? Let's put-
1970.
oh,
Bobby,
right. Oh, baby.
Bobby Orr.
Bobby Orr, baby.
Stanley Cups. My dad was all in.
All in.
All in.
That was the big bad Bruins. That
Yeah.
was the
The heyday.
heyday. That was
Yeah.
the peak of
Yeah.
of the Bruins organization. And that's probably another podcast. We could talk about that for hours, but
Right.
that was when the Bruins were the Bruins. Plus, yeah,
It's also when hockey exploded here.
because of
Yeah.
Bobby Orr.
Because of, yeah.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, okay, so you're born in 1970. You're a Bobby Orr baby.
Yep.
And your father loves hockey, so he's gonna get you into hockey.
Yeah, I mean, my mom said, we didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
My father was a plumber. My mother didn't work. She stayed at home and took care of me. And she's like, well, we got to ask your dad when he comes home. So having dinner around the table, and I got to give him the thing. And
You're nervous.
I was nervous. I'm like, oh.
What a great memory.
Yeah, I remember it like it was yesterday. And he's like, yeah, we'll sign you up.
Yeah.
And we got to get equipment and all that stuff. But I was just pumped.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
So obviously hockey becomes a big part of your life, but were you playing any other sports?
You name it, I tried.
So you were playing baseball, played baseball.
Basketball. I got thrown out of soccer for life.
F5?
What do you mean? Like, hold on. What do you mean? Like the FIFA came down and said you can't? Oh no, you can't. You're out. Lifetime ban.
Abington Youth Soccer just said, we can't have this guy.
Oh, you're out
on the field.
What did you do?
Well, I was a goalie in soccer. I played goalie in hockey too, and we can talk about how that happened and stuff. But I wanted to play goalie in soccer, and one of my strategies was, as someone would come down to try to take a shot at me, I would run out and hit them,
tackle them.
I figured if they didn't kick the ball, it wasn't going in.
Right. I actually love it. I think it's amazing.
And I gravitated towards very physical sports.
Yeah.
Lacrosse was a big sport for me.
Still is, right?
Yeah, which was later on in life, and we can talk about that in season 2 of this podcast. But yeah, I think it was probably my 3rd or 4th soccer altercation when I was asked not to come back.
So soccer's out. You finally you go through middle school, and hockey's a big part of your life at this point.
Huge, yeah.
And are you a goalie at this point?
Yes.
So when do you switch to goalie? Because that's a big decision.
Yeah. So it was probably my 2nd year playing, and I remember at the end of a practice, the coach lines us up against the bench. Our big rivalry at the time was Rockland.
Yep.
Rockland, Abington.
Which then they later join forces and become the South Shore Eagles.
Do, right. Which I was a part of that as well.
Okay.
But he lines us up, and we got 2 scrimmages against Rockland that weekend. One on Saturday and one on Sunday. And he lines us up against the boards, and he says, we got 2 scrimmages coming up, but we have no goalie. Do any of you kids want to play goalie? And 2 people raised their hands. It was myself and a young man named Jimmy Cousins.
Okay.
So Jimmy Cousins plays on Saturday, and we lose 18-1.
Jimmy, come on, buddy.
Poor Jimmy was afraid of the puck.
Yeah, can't be afraid of the puck in there.
Can't do that.
No.
So they gave me they had gear, and they gave me the gear on
Pass
Sunday.
the pads,
Yeah, pass the pads over. My dad's getting me ready. And he said, goalie, you can play the whole game. I was like, I'm in.
That's right up your alley. If that's your mentality now when it comes to men's league.
Yeah.
You want to play the whole game.
Yeah.
But you don't play goalie anymore.
We lost that game 2-1.
Ooh, baby. All right. And that was
Coach comes in afterwards and says, you're the goalie. It wasn't a lot of sensitivity back then.
No. Different era.
Yeah, I put up some numbers, and they just gave me the gear.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. And I was all in.
But that's a great nudge right there. That guy was a nudge in your life.
He really was.
Yeah, and you enjoyed goal. You had a nice career.
Loved it.
So you go to Abington High?
Yeah. Well, I started out at Archie's.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Okay, so talk about that decision. So you come up through the 8th grade, and now you're going to make a decision to jump ship and go to Archie's.
Yeah, it was, juniors wasn't a big thing back then.
Yeah.
We called it the Metro Division or played double A.
Yeah.
So I played double A. I played for my town, but I played double A hockey with some of the best, players on the South Shore.
What team did you play for?
I played for a couple. I spent some time with the Hobmock Chiefs.
Oh, sure. The Chiefs out of Hobmock Rink. Yep.
Yeah. But probably the one that I spent the most time with and had the most success with was the Plymouth County All-Stars.
Oh, yeah. I played Plymouth. I was a Plymouth County All-Star guy.
Yeah. So, a lot of kids going to BC High that I knew, Matt and Jan, CM. So I chose to go to Archie's.
Okay. So you said, Dad, I want to go to Archie's and pursue my hockey career.
Yes.
Because I'm playing with all these other guys, and they're going to, name your school, BC High.
Yep.
and that's the path.
That was the path.
That was the path, and back then it was the path, right? I mean, I don't know if you know this, but Keith Carter won two state championships. Two state championships at Catholic Memorial.
Yeah, so
started at Boston BC High.
Yeah, I used to go to those games. You know what I mean? Like that was even when I was in high school. I would go to the Garden and watch, CM play with Teddy Donato, and Warren Nyan, and some of those guys were just nasty. Chucky Hughes and net.
Yeah. And they all, you could go from there to, I mean, when Chucky Hughes went to Harvard, right? Like they just had Mike Sullivan, the coach, now the coach at the Rangers. He went to BC High, and then he went from BC High to BU.
Right.
I mean, now you can't do that now, but that's probably
the landscape's changed dramatically.
So now you're at Archie's for your freshman year, I presume.
Yeah.
You don't like it?
No, I liked it. Archie's was a great school. They had a freshman team, and when you were a freshman, you played freshman.
Yeah.
It was very rare to see anyone as a freshman, playing on the varsity team.
Was that still like that when you were at CM?
Yeah.
So since you're what, a 74 birth year? So that's now. I don't know if you know this, but the goalie, CM did they just win the state championship?
They did.
The goalie was an 8th grader.
Yeah, and he was like, what was he, 6'5" or something?
Yeah,
like that?
Jackson Fleming. He's the same age as Hank.
Incredible.
If you put them next to each other, they don't look like the same species.
Seriously,
They don't look like the same species. Hank has this little baby face. This is a man child.
I haven't seen the kid play, but I've heard about him, and that's
phenomenal.
Incredible.
Yeah. So he'll be, maybe he's at CM one more year, and then he goes to Avon Old Farms, and then he goes from Avon Old Farms to the BCHL or the USHL.
Right.
And, he'll be a 21-year-old freshman at UMaine.
Right.
Anyway, good luck, Jackson.
Yep.
We're pulling for you.
So where were we? Archie's freshman year.
Freshman year, playing on the freshman team. I was lucky enough to get called up to play a couple games JV my freshman year, which was really cool. And I went back for my sophomore year. But I think I didn't feel like I fit in there.
So when you socially, hockey-wise, academically?
Academically and hockey, I was fine.
Yeah.
It was more socially. I grew up on a 3-acre lot with chickens, and we had pigs and goats and gardens and
like this. This is her dream. This is Rupia's dream.
Dogs and cats, and all of a sudden I'm thrust into this environment with all like mostly Braintree and Quincy kids.
Yeah. Quasi city kids that kind of act like city kids, but they're not really city kids.
Yeah. And I had to get on a bus in Holbrook every day, a MBTA bus.
Yeah.
And cruise in there. And it just wasn't. It wasn't my vibe, and I also missed my Abington friends that I had played hockey with since I was 5 years old.
So that's interesting because you just described Hank, minus the farm and the chickens and the bus ride in.
Don't forget the goat. We had a goat named Dudley.
But the draw. The draw back to his hometown and his hometown friends, that he's made these great friends.
Yep.
And they're having all these experiences in the school, much like your buddies from Abington were having.
Yep.
And you're hanging out with them Friday night to Sunday, and then Monday you're getting on a bus and going to Braintree, and they're staying in Abington and creating more memories.
That's
you
right.
felt a little left out.
Yeah, I felt left out.
Yeah.
And at the time, I mean, Abington was Division III, but at the time they actually had a pretty good hockey team.
Yeah.
We had a really good, when I was a junior, I went back for my junior season. I went to watch them play in the state tournament. I think the game was at BU, and I was sitting next to a friend of mine named Mike DeMarco, who went to BC High. And we were watching the game, and we looked at each other, and I said, I'm coming home next year.
Yeah.
And he was like, me too.
So he was at BC High trying to play hockey up there, or doing his thing, and then you decided together to come home, come back to Abington and finish out for 2 years.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, how did your mother and father take that?
I think, on the surface, they were okay with it. But I think my dad was probably a little disappointed
Yeah.
because he was a plumber. We didn't have a lot of money. He worked really hard and pulled some strings to get me into Archie's.
Yeah.
You know?
And then he, back then it was probably $5,000 a year, right? It's 35 or something now, but
Right.
worked hard for that 5 or 10 grand and probably felt like he lit it on fire.
Right.
Now, I will say this. I don't, because I'd be lying to you if I said that's not something that I struggled with Hank. Like, okay,
Yep.
I paid all this money for him to go to school for 4 years. He was at there for 4 years, but like, that's all part of it. You wouldn't be who you are if you didn't go through that experience at 14, 15, 16 years old.
Right.
To recognize that you were in a situation that wasn't right for you.
Yep.
And you made decisions that were good for you, regardless of whether your dad was going to be mad or disappointed or upset. Like, you needed to make that decision for you. So I've said it to Hank, like, I'm not mad, and I appreciate that you were able to make that decision for yourself at 14 years old. That's a big decision.
Yeah,
right?
it was. Yeah.
Big decision for you, big decision for Hank. I went to Thayer, right? There's that connection. Your father worked his ass off to allow you to go to Archie's.
Yep.
And maybe he thought in his brain, well, he's going to get ahead now because he's out of private school, and it changes your trajectory. So, big decision as a sophomore. You come back and you step right in as the goalie, because goalie's tough. There's only one net.
There's only one goalie. Unfortunately, I did not step in.
Okay.
There was a guy named Frankie O'Rourke who was a senior.
Okay. Great name.
Great name. He was a really good goaltender.
Yeah.
He was. The coach had been there for 30 years. I didn't go there my freshman and sophomore year.
Kind of that old school mentality.
Yeah.
You're not one of us.
Yeah. So my junior year, I played some games.
Yeah.
But he was the guy.
Yeah.
And then my senior year, the net was mine.
It was yours.
Yeah.
Okay. So the net's yours. Do you make the most of it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Yeah. Fire.
What you have to understand about Kirk is that he makes shit happen on the ice. You now play forward.
Yeah.
And he is, in fact, a prolific goal scorer. So I have no doubt in my mind that when you grabbed that net, you grabbed it and you held on to it.
Yeah.
And so now it's your senior year. You finish out your season as the goalie. So do you not like the coach? Did you not get along with him?
No, as a matter of fact, I saw the coach at Planet Fitness.
Okay.
Literally like last week.
Good for him, still staying in fit.
He's an amazing guy.
Yeah.
He was a coach for a long time. Listen, back then you played upperclassmen. I think it's changed a little bit now.
No, it sure has. Yeah.
But back then, if you played the senior.
Yeah.
And Frankie was a good goalie too.
Yeah.
I don't want to come off like I was way better than him.
Right.
Now, did I have more experience? Like Frankie didn't play outside of Abington, but he was good.
Yeah.
And he gave the coach 3 excellent seasons.
Right. So
there was loyalty there.
Yeah, and you can understand that and respect that from the coach.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. So is there anybody, outside of hockey through high school that sort of influenced you, that guided you, that you remember, good or bad?
No.
Okay. Moving on.
No, I mean, I said that to try to be funny, but I had great teachers at both places. Archie's was great. We had a great teacher. I loved history. I ended up being a history major in college. My history teacher was Mr. Graham at Abington High. He was just an amazing baseball coach as well.
Okay.
Just loved the guy, hard-nosed. So he definitely influenced me a decent amount.
I love that. So now you
throw a tennis ball at you if you fell asleep on the which
could never do that now.
No, he didn't miss either. But he had the tennis he'd have the tennis balls, lined up on his desk.
Ready to go.
He decided to take a nap, during the lecture about the War of 1812.
Yeah.
You were getting one upside the cranium.
Imagine that.
Yeah, can't
Imagine
do
that
today.
now. No way.
Boy.
No way.
A history teacher?
Yeah.
They're still like that.
They're not throwing tennis balls at kids at school
No,
anymore.
but they had,
I don't know. I feel
my
like
history teachers were always.
yeah, but you're not. a spring chicken over there.
Oh boy.
Oh, I would have said you were.
First the no
you.
first the no studio. Now this.
Well, I mean, she's acting like she just graduated from high school.
Right.
All right. So now it's your senior year in high school, and
Yep.
you got to decide on college.
Yes.
So talk me through that.
So
Well, hold on. Before I ask that question,
yeah.
is there any significance to the name with the actor? Let's get it out there.
Yes, there is.
Okay. Can we tell that story?
Yeah, my parents were children of the 60s.
Yeah.
They both graduated Abington High School in 1967.
Okay. Oh wow. So they had you young.
Yeah.
Really young.
That's 20,
21 years
Yeah.
old.
Wow.
Yeah. So they like
Are they both still with us now?
negative.
They both passed.
They passed away several years ago within 3 weeks of each other.
Oh. Died of a broken heart.
No.
No.
Okay.
My mother had dementia.
Okay. Young to have dementia.
Yeah, 68.
Wow.
And my father died in a boating accident.
I didn't know that.
Very suddenly. But it was literally about 3 weeks after my mother passed.
So your mother passes from dementia,
Yes.
which is a long, drawn out.
Yes, and my wife and I were basically her caretaker for a while.
Okay.
Yep.
So how long ago was this?
I'm terrible with dates and names. But I want to say maybe 10 years ago.
Okay. And then your dad dies in a boating accident?
Boating accident, yeah. He was a big bass fisherman.
Does he fall off the boat? Like
Nope.
he falls off the boat in the water, boat hits
Nope.
him. Okay, what happened?
Falls on the boat.
Now, he was home from a fishing trip.
Okay.
He had the boat on the trailer in the driveway,
Ugh.
cleaning the boat. And he fell off the boat while in the driveway.
Oh.
And died
Yes.
from the fall.
Head injury. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow. So not a broken heart.
No.
Negative. They were divorced.
Wow.
They got divorced when I was like 32.
Okay. So, wow, that's a little.
It's heavy.
That's
You
wow.
got any
guys
more
wanna hear a
jokes?
joke?
Got any more jokes, Coach?
A couple of you.
But see, there's something I didn't know about you.
Right.
Yeah. So where were we before we got on that?
Going to college.
Oh, going to college. Yeah. So you have to pick a college.
I got to pick a school. Yeah.
Yeah. And so how do you come up? How does that happen?
So I'll preface it by saying, I was playing a lot of hockey in the college developmental
Oh, wait,
leagues
I'm
in the
sorry.
summertime.
You were asked about the name.
Oh,
the
yeah,
name. The name. Yeah. Good
So
catch.
my parents were children in the 60s. They smoked a lot of weed, and they just thought it would be cool to name me after the actor. Kirk Douglas, which I didn't think was cool. Okay,
So you don't know. So this goes directly to the heart, and we'll get into your selection of college, but
Yeah.
this goes directly to the heart of the 2022-2023 Duxbury High girls team that were convinced that you on Twitter
Were
was
fake.
me.
Fake.
Yeah.
And they were like, he has a fake name. His name is Kirk Douglas.
Right.
Like, that's really his name.
This real person.
I think
The
it's,
man, the man.
He's my friend. He's like, no, Nudge, that's you. Because he was posting all this stuff about the team and about me and, pictures. And like, if I had to, every time like a coaching job would come up, I'd only make one phone call and it would
Coach
be
Nudge.
at Danny Nudge 9. Like,
Yeah.
so they completely thought,
I think we called you from the
yeah,
locker
we
room.
FaceTimed.
Yeah, one time I got a phone call.
FaceTime.
And
It was a FaceTime.
it was a FaceTime. And I answered the phone, and my wife's behind me. And all she can hear is like 15 screaming high school girls. So I had to explain for like 45 minutes what just happened.
Amazing.
Didn't go well.
So and I remember the call vividly because you were like, yeah, I got to go.
Yeah. Hang up.
So you're playing a lot of hockey in the college developmental league.
Yeah,
It was
so-
called the CDL back then, right? CDL. Yeah, I
we
remember
were in
it.
Quincy and all these places, and so I was convinced. I'm like, I want to go Division I. So I start meeting with those schools, but my problem was I was about 5'2",
Yeah.
140 pounds,
Even as a senior.
yeah, soaking wet. So I remember I went to Merrimack. I sat down with the coaches at Merrimack, me and my dad, and the coach from Merrimack said, "Listen, we really like you, but you're too small."
Yeah.
which is basically what every other coach was telling me. So they said, and again, juniors wasn't a thing back then per se for us.
Yeah, wasn't around here. It
Right.
wasn't.
So they said, we think you should go for a year of prep school. And my father and I grabbed onto that.
Yeah.
You should go get bigger, stronger, get another year of hockey under your belt, and then come and talk to us.
Okay.
So I started looking at prep schools, Wilbraham Munson, St. George's, all, you name it, I looked at it, and I wound up at Bridgton Academy in Maine.
Okay. Which is a great place. We had a friend that went there. They're trying to build a rink up there now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played on the outdoor rink
Yeah.
when I was there. And that's also, again, this could be episode 2, but that's also where I was introduced to lacrosse.
So you didn't play lacrosse at all. Well, did Abington even have lacrosse back then?
Abington did not have lacrosse, but I lived very close to the Abington and Weymouth line.
Yeah.
I had a couple friends from Weymouth that played.
Lacrosse.
Yeah. And they would give me a stick and we would play catch and stuff. But I didn't know the rules, nothing.
Yeah. And I asked because Hanover didn't have it when I was growing up. Did Duxbury have it?
No.
The only schools around that had it when I was around was Weymouth, Hingham, and Falmouth down the Cape.
Those are the only.
Other than that, you had to go out west.
Yeah, like Lincoln, Sudbury.
Lincoln,
Yeah,
Sudbury. Long Meadow was the powerhouse back then.
yeah. And then Duxbury became a powerhouse.
Yes. Yes, they did.
But, all right, so you go to Bridgton Academy
Yeah.
to get bigger, stronger, faster.
Yeah, I'm drinking like raw egg shakes and stuff.
Are you really?
Oh, yeah.
Gross.
Yeah.
How'd it work?
Didn't work.
No.
Worked for Rocky.
I know.
I mean,
That's what they had me doing, though.
really.
Oh, yeah.
From the chickens?
Yes.
So did you enjoy your time at Bridgton? Is
Loved
that it's got a little bit of a military aspect to it, right? Or no?
No.
Okay.
When I went, it's all boys.
All boys, yeah.
When I went there, it was the only 1-year prep school in the country.
Okay.
Now I think you can go there for 2 years.
All right.
I absolutely loved everything about it.
And that's what our friend Pete Van
Incredible
Auer says.
experience.
Yeah. Changed your life.
Changed my life.
So there's a wonderful nudge that the Merrimack coach gave you.
Yep.
You never would have thought of prep school if you didn't go sit down and have that meeting.
Wasn't thinking about it.
And you had this pipe dream of playing
Yep.
D1, and
Yep.
and you have that conversation. It leads you to Bridgton, and then where does it lead you from there?
So from Bridgton, I went on to Elmira College in upstate New York.
Okay. You played there.
Negative.
Did not. Did you go there to play hockey?
I did. I played 4 years of lacrosse there.
So hold on. You go to Bridgton, you get introduced to lacrosse, which
Yep.
is a fall sport, correct?
Spring
sport.
Spring sport.
Okay.
Yep.
So you step on campus, you're there for hockey,
100%.
you got a lacrosse stick from your friend Sully from Weymouth.
I mean, no, the lacrosse story is a really good one.
Yes, let's go. That's why we're here.
All right. So I'm at Bridgton Academy.
Yeah.
And I lived in a dorm called Cleves Hall.
Yeah.
And in the basement of the dorm, there was a young man, unfortunately, got stuck in the basement. His
So
name was...
That's he had to live down there.
He had to live down there. Yeah. His name was Pete.
Pete from the basement.
Pete was an amazing guy. And we became friends.
Yeah.
Pete Brayton was his name, and he lived in Western Mass. So I went down to his room, no windows. Room's probably like smaller than this room.
Poor kid.
Poor Pete's down there. He's a big fella. And he's got like 4 or 5 lacrosse sticks. And I'm like, oh, you play lacrosse? He's like, oh, yeah, I'm here to play lacrosse. I was like, cool. Let's go eat. So after we eat, he grabs a lacrosse stick and gives it to me. He goes, you want to go play catch? And I was like, yeah, sure. So we go out and we play catch. And the first thing I did was I put the lacrosse stick in my left hand. He's
Okay.
like, no. You have to put it in your right hand. And I was like, well, no, I don't want to do that. I feels more comfortable over here.
Sure.
So he's like, wow, okay. Lefties are rare in lacrosse. So we started playing catch. And because I was a goalie, I had the hand-eye coordination.
Sure.
I never missed a ball. I always threw it straight. He's like, wow, you're pretty good at this. And I was like, well, I don't know the rules. Like what, He's like, well, I'm going to teach you the rules, and I'm going to give you that stick, but you have to promise me one thing. You'll try out for the team.
Okay. How about this nudge? Amazing.
This is a nudge and a half right now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right,
Pete Brayton.
Pete Brayton. So Pete, we would sit around in the common area of the dorm, and he would bring out the lacrosse whiteboard, and he taught me all the rules.
Okay, and you were a student listening. You were.
I was listening.
I
was loving it.
You were loving it.
He told me, you could hit someone with your stick. I'm like, count me in for that.
Yeah, yeah.
I can hit people with this thing. He's like, yeah. I mean, lacrosse is a great sport now, but back then it was like warfare.
Yeah.
Teaches me all the rules. I go out. I try out for the team. I make the team.
Okay.
Pete Bridgton gets cut.
No. You can't be serious.
No.
He was a little on the doughy side.
Okay, so he wasn't working in the gym.
He was a big defenseman.
Yeah.
A little on the doughy side.
That's amazing.
You took his spot.
No, I didn't. I played attack, so I was more of an offensive weapon, as it were. But Pete didn't make the team.
Wow.
He was devastated.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Yeah. We remained friends.
Not the friendship was a
was
little
strange.
Yeah.
As I got my equipment and my nice shirt and everything.
Yeah.
My shorts. But yeah, poor Pete didn't make the team. I did make the team. I was the fourth attackman. As you know, in lacrosse, 3 attackmen take the field. I was on number 4 on the depth chart.
Okay.
Game 2, one of the attackmen broke his leg.
Now you're 3.
They sent me out there.
Yeah. The rest is history, I guess.
The rest is history. I mean, I just tuned it up.
That's where you learned your goal scoring.
And I probably had the greatest coach in the history of any sport I ever played.
Really?
Coach Tom McCabe, who would later go on and coach at Bowdoin.
Lacrosse.
Was
he a young guy when you were there?
I'd say he was late 40s, early 50s. He was just such a He treated everybody the same. And it was my first time where I was treated like a grown man.
Yeah.
And he influenced me in ways that I find it hard to explain.
Really?
And I kept in touch with him even after he retired and went to the Peace Corps. I still kept in touch with him.
So he went from coaching to the Peace Corps?
Yes.
Wow. But that's nice to hear that a coach would have that kind of an influence on you.
Yeah, I mean,
to this day.
He definitely changed the way I looked at the world. Changed the way that I responded to adversity. Changed the way I treated people, and in a profound way. I was the guy who was, calling the dude with no arms names.
Yeah,
but not after I got done with Coach McCabe.
So it's almost like the timing, the perfect storm, right? You're stepping into a new sport with low expectations of yourself as far as how much you're going to play.
Yes.
You're at an age where you're becoming a man, right? At that point, you're 17, 18 years old.
I was 18.
You're away from home looking for a father figure. This guy steps into that void. And because of that perfect storm, he's able to have a positive influence on you. Now, you could have ended up with a coach that had the reverse of that.
Absolutely.
And you'd still be calling that guy names.
Yeah. This was the type of guy who we went 16-1. We would crush teams. And this was the type of guy who would make us eat dinner with the other team after the game.
Really?
Yeah. He would have them stay on our campus, and we would all sit at a table together and eat.
Wow, that's great.
So I learned, at the beginning of a game when I would walk out to the defenseman who was going to cover me, I would ask him, "Hey, man, how you doing?
Yeah.
Good luck today." And then I would tune him up.
What's Pete doing now?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know. I do know the last time I spoke to him, which was probably 20 years ago, he was coaching lacrosse.
Oh, good.
Which I ended up doing for a long time.
So those who, that's the old saying, those who can't coach.
Yeah. He was passionate about the sport.
And he taught you.
He gave me a lot of his time, a lot of his knowledge. And
then you used it against him like a weapon.
I did.
Not on purpose, though. You just went out and
I just took a spot.
Yeah. So you go on to play college lacrosse. Is there a moment in that time frame where you're like, okay, I'm a lacrosse player, I'm not a hockey player?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I was a little burnt out
On the hockey.
on the hockey.
Yeah.
I was playing all winter, playing all summer, multiple teams. And when I went to Bridgton, I just didn't have the passion
Yeah.
for goaltending. Now, there's another story here that I'm going to give you.
Okay.
I'm about to lay it down, Coach Parker.
Oh, he's feeling the flow now, people. He's feeling
Go.
it.
So
Coach Parker.
So I mean Coach Carter. Sorry. I told you I'm bad with names. Anyways, I'm at Bridgton. I try out for the hockey team. There was a goalie there named Andre Frosch.
Okay.
Kid was a stud. Couldn't spell his name.
For real? You couldn't? Oh, he couldn't.
He couldn't. That's why he was at Bridgton Academy.
Yeah.
He was getting looked at by a lot of D1 teams, but he couldn't pass the SAT. And, I knew I wasn't going to play a lot.
Yeah.
So when I was young, my dad would make me go to power skating in goalie equipment
Smart man.
so I could skate.
Yeah.
So I went to the coach and I said, listen, I know Andre's going to be the number one. He's just better than I am. But I would be your fourth best forward. The guys are like, are you nuts? Coach Daly, Southie guy.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now. I'll call my dad today. I'm going to have him FedEx up my players' equipment, and I'll be one of the top scorers on this team. And he's like, you do what you want, but I think you're insane. He's like, you're the number 2 guy. You're going to play. And I was like, yeah, but you know what? The team I play for in the summer would kick this team's ass.
Yeah.
And I know that's when the coaches are going to come watch me. They're not going to come up here and watch me in an outdoor rink,
Freezing
30 below zero.
Yeah.
I called my dad. I said, gather up the players gear, buy me 2 new cohos, and get them up here.
Amazing.
He's like, Kirk, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to play out. I'm tired of playing goalie. I'm just done. So he sent the gear up.
Yeah.
So first game of the season, I make it
As a player.
as a player.
Now, was there a third goalie that rose in?
Yes.
Good.
There was, they had like 6 goalies trying out.
Yeah.
I think the third guy was a guy from Illinois. He was good too.
So he slides in the number 2. He's psyched.
Big fella.
Yeah.
Mark something or other. But anyways, yeah, he slides right in. Good for him. So I make the team. Got 4 lines. He sticks me on the third line. Third line left wing. First game of the season, I think we were playing Hoover Academy. And we go out, and we should crush them, right? But with lethargic in the first period, he sends the third line out over the boards. Puck's in the neutral zone.
Amazing that you know the details.
Oh, I remember this like it was yesterday. Puck's in the neutral zone. One of their their winger goes over the boards to get. I just laid him out. Puck comes loose. Center grabs it. Goes over the blue line. Drop pass. I shoot, and it goes in.
Yeah.
We're up 1-0 after the first period. Coach Daly comes in, screaming at everybody, and he says something like, the only one who's done anything out there is Douglas.
Yeah.
Douglas, you're moving up to the second line. And that's where I was the rest of the year.
After coming into the season as a goalie.
Yes.
Amazing. And then, but at that point, you think, but you still haven't even played lacrosse.
Haven't played a real lacrosse game yet.
So when is it that you say, okay, I'm a lacrosse player?
So it was that year.
Yeah.
I mean, the team went 16-1. I think I finished, third on the team in goals. I won some sort of an award at the end of the year banquet.
Yeah.
I felt the coaching was a big situation for me. I just felt like part of that culture.
Yeah.
It was a different culture than hockey.
Yeah.
I felt really part of it.
And now
I was
that's
like-
that, and so you go and play 4 years at Elmira
Yes,
lacrosse.
lacrosse.
Have a
yeah.
great career.
Great career.
Did you like that, coach?
No.
Okay. How come?
He was just he was a rookie coach. He was new.
Yeah.
He wasn't much older than some of the players on the team.
Yeah.
You know, so I just never really jived with him.
But you played all 4 years, and you were on the field.
I was on the field.
You were on the field. Yeah. And then you go on and you coached with what? Massachusetts for a long time.
Started out with the Kings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was with them for a while, and then moved over to Massachusetts.
Are you still doing that now?
I retired last year.
You did?
Yeah.
How come? You want to go to Vermont?
Yeah. Yeah, I got a place in Vermont. I want to spend more time with the family.
Yeah.
My wife.
And so what's the family? That's who's in the family?
So my wife's Judy.
Yeah.
I met her at my first job.
Okay.
She was at a law firm.
So you graduate Elmira with a degree in
history
and go into what field?
Law.
Doing what? As a paralegal?
I worked in the law library.
Okay.
At a law firm in Boston for 1 year.
Talk about aging yourself. The law library.
Yeah.
It's called Google now.
Right, exactly. Back then, I used to have to go in this room and roll the thing, go and get this thing for the paralegal and bring it up to him.
Yeah.
And,
I remember it well, going and finding the book with the citation and what volume and page and
Yeah, the guy who ran the library at the law firm was a shortstop in the 60s for the Detroit Tigers.
Really?
This guy was just great guy.
I mean, but that's like that movie, The Firm, right? The guy's down in the big law library with all the case law, and they update it every month or so.
Yep.
So that's your first job. You meet Judy there.
Yeah, I met. She worked at a different law firm in the same building, and we ended up meeting on the train.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
coming up from the same.
We would get out of work at the same time.
Yeah,
and we take the red line home. She lived in Braintree, I believe, at the time, and I was still living with mom and dad.
So you saddle up next to her on the train and said, "Hey, how you doing?"
No, we got on the train one time. We were creatures of habit, so we get on the same car.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that girl's hot. She always wore these like great suits, expensive suits. I'm like, she's got to be driving a BMW or something. So we're on the train.
But she's taking the train home.
She's taking the train home.
Yeah.
My brand, I'm like,
definitely a BMW at the end of this.
Beamer. So we're taking the train home, and there's this girl on the train. She was like whacked out on drugs or something. She had headphones in, and she was singing "Stairway to Heaven" as loud as she could. And like everybody on the train's like, "Oh, this is terrible."
Yeah.
So she gets off at JFK UMass. When she gets off, I just start clapping. Everybody starts laughing.
Yeah.
And there's an open seat next to my wife, and she's like, "Do you want to sit down?"
Oh, okay.
I was like, "Sure." So we start chit-chatting. And she's like, "Where do you get off the train?" And I'm like, "Oh, I get off I get off at Quincy Adams." And she got off at Quincy Center. She's like, Do you want to get off at Quincy Center with me, and I'll give you a ride to Quincy Adams?
Wow.
Judy.
Yeah.
Hey, Judy.
So I'm like,
hell yeah.
Let's go. So I get off the train, walk into the car. I'm thinking
BMW.
W328i.
It's a Volkswagen Bug.
It's a Hyundai XL. With a sticker on the back that says "Be Green." I'm like, oh.
What did I just do? What did I just do?
What happened? I mean, her suit was probably more expensive than the car. So she drives me to Quincy Adams, and the next week I had vacation time. And back then I couldn't afford to go anywhere, so I was just going to be home drinking with my buddies.
Yeah.
So I got up on Monday morning, I got in my car, and I drove to Quincy Center train station. And I parked, and I walked around and looked for her car.
Wow, so romantic.
And I left a note on the car and said, "Hey, I'm not going to see you this week. I'm on vacation. But here's my number if you want to go out, see a movie." So that night I went out and got sauced. And the next day, I used to be able to sleep till like 3 p.m.
Yeah.
I can't do that anymore. I'm old. The next day, it's like 10:30 in the morning. My father's like knocking on my bedroom door. He's like, "You got a phone call." Back then, there was no cordless
Right,
phones.
yeah,
you know.
it's a-
We had a 25-foot cord that was like swivel cord.
yeah, all the way down the
I
hall.
could barely reach my room. So I'm like outside the door, like, hello? And it's her. She's like, hey, I got your note. I'd love to go out sometime. I was like, great.
Just not now.
Can I go? Like, I'm pretty tired right now, but how about we go to the movies? You know, what day works for you? She's
Yeah.
like, oh, let's go out Wednesday. I was like, great. So that's how
And that's how you met.
that's how we met.
Yeah. Wow. That's a
I got-
great
Love
story.
it. That's a great
The
story.
first date story is pretty wild.
Well, we
too.
can't
I
have
know,
we can't tell every story. I mean, we'll
Episode
be
2. Episode 2.
we'll be here for 3
I
hours.
want,
Right.
I want that story.
Right.
Yeah, you could tell root beer after.
All right.
So now you got 2 kids.
Yeah.
One's both grown.
She had a daughter from a previous relationship,
Yep.
Christine. So
Yep.
I've been with her since she was 8.
Yep.
And then our son Ethan,
Ethan.
who's 20. He'll be 25 in December.
And we spoke about him out in the hallway. He's up in Vermont. He went to St. Mike's.
St. Michael's.
Yeah, and he had a wonderful time.
Loved it. Loved it. It's great school. Great school.
Yeah, and so I got to ask, what's with all the tattoos?
My dad rode Harleys. I mean, you
Okay.
mentioned Harleys early on
Yeah.
here. Yeah, my dad rode Harleys. He had a couple tats. And of course, like I was like, well, I think I'm gonna get a tat.
Yeah. So what was the first one? Because you got a
Well,
lot.
it's covered up now.
The first one's covered
Yeah,
up.
it's covered up by a different tat. But back then, you didn't have tattoos in Mass, so you had to go to New Hampshire or Rhode Island. So
Yeah.
I went to Rhode Island and Tiverton, Rhode Island, on a drunken night and got a tattoo of a shark that looked more like a needle-nosed dolphin.
So it wasn't the greatest artist,
It wasn't very good, so that's been covered up.
but I mean, you got a.
And what ended up happening, Nudge, was that you kind of get the bug.
Yeah.
It's like, for me, it's like every 365 days.
You get another
I
one.
start thinking, like, I think I got to get another tattoo.
Yeah. So is it just the arms,
I got small stuff on my back,
but nothing on your legs?
one on my leg
Right.
there, yeah. But
So-
nothing on my calves. I mean, my calves are like a thean, almost like a Greek god calves. So I can't.
I don't know. You're talking about the king of calves over there. His calves are
You got,
amazing.
you got some calves?
Oh my God.
Apparently, I have some calves.
He can barely
All
get
right,
his
nice.
pants on in the morning. His
Really?
oh my God.
I
His
gotta
calves
I'll
are
take a
huge.
look at those after the show.
They're amazing.
All right.
Any tattoo on there with any significance, or is it just, do they all have significance? mean, like, you
not
got-
all of them have significance.
You know, you got like a paw print on your back.
This one here is a lacrosse friend of mine who died of cancer.
So that says HTTW.
Yep,
27.
That was his number. And then
What's the evergreens for?
this is just my passion for like hiking in the mountains.
So yeah, because we didn't really get to that, and we're getting a little long in the tooth, but that's okay. But you do a lot outside. So like,
Yeah.
you're I mean, I follow you on your Instagram and Twitter, and like you're always out hiking or biking or
Yeah.
like
Yep.
sitting in a river with beer, and
Yes.
but you're outside a lot.
Yeah, I'm too. I don't like being inside. I like to be out, and stay active.
Yeah. And how old are you now?
54.
54
54. You'll be 55 when?
June.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple weeks here.
A couple weeks.
Yeah, June 18th.
Okay.
Maybe you could have me back in for episode 2.
Maybe have a birthday episode.
Yeah, definitely. That would be fun.
But so any before we wrap up on the tattoos, any other ones? Like you got a like a longitude, latitude over there. What's that?
That's Aruba.
Okay.
My wife and I go to Aruba every October for 2 weeks.
And so that's significant.
Yep.
And you got, what's this on you right here?
The bumblebee.
Lacrosse stick.
Oh, lacrosse
That's
stick.
the old wooden lacrosse.
Yeah,
stick.
it's for like the Indians.
That's
A
right.
big paw print on you outside.
That's a
here.
Wolverine for Bridgton Academy Wolverines.
All right, so they all have a little bit of significance.
they do.
They have if you went through the catalog of your, how many tattoos have you got? Do you have? You
I
got
don't know, maybe 10, 15
Yeah, it's a
somewhere in
lot.
that neighborhood.
Your hair is like a Wolverine,
It
actually.
is.
Yeah, it is. Right, don't get me started on my hair.
Your hair's amazing.
It's great.
Hank loves your hair.
Well, I love Hank.
I know you do.
Good man.
Yeah. Okay.
Good guy.
Well, I can't express how enjoyable this was. I loved having you in here. It's great to hear a story that's different and ever changing. To go from wanting to be a hockey player to becoming a lacrosse player to being influenced by coaches along the way to meeting people on a meeting your wife on a train and helping raise her daughter, right? That was
Yep.
a big part of your life. And,
Yep, absolutely.
and then raising your own son and now being the outdoorsman that I think a lot of us would like to be. Like, I would like to be outdoors, but I just don't have the
No.
energy.
You won't.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
Riding that bike, getting to Vermont, like the whole thing is a lot of
Yeah,
work.
It's a lot of work, but there's a lot of reward in it.
Yeah, I know, and I
It's
see
all
that. Like,
about perspective.
yeah, and I see that. I came up, playing golf, right? So that's my outdoors,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So it's no one is better than the other. They're
Nope.
just different.
Nope.
I get to ride around in the cart and
But you're also
relax.
something that I'll probably never be, and that is a 2-time state champion.
Well, so is Keith.
I know he is.
Yeah, but that takes a lot of work.
It sure
Right,
does.
and
You
s-
put a lot of effort and a lot of your time, goes into that.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. Thank you. We've been lucky to have great players and
Great fans as well.
great fans.
Amazing.
Super
fans.
fan.
Yeah.
A super fan. So for everybody listening, Kirk is real. Okay, he's not my burner account or my alter ego. He's a real person with a real story that he was kind enough to share with us. Kirk, thank you very much for coming in.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you enjoyed
It
it.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. Keithy, nice to see you as
Yeah.
always. Root beer.
Bye.
And if anybody needs me, you know where to find me because everybody needs a nudge.
That's right. Everybody does.
See you guys.
I don't.